Hello, Captains. This is Metaman. Today we're looking at a battle I had in the Jaguar. I wanted to do a guide to the Jaguar. I did a somewhat guide comparison with the Jaguar versus the Sirocco. And when I first got the Jaguar a long time ago, when they first came out, I pretty much just passed right by it. My stats were not very good in it. And it's not that now my stats are coming back up on it, and I'm sure I'll be in the 60s in her as soon as I get a few more battles in her. I was told in a forum that my kill rate was only 0.52 or something like that, but I had like 10 battles in her, and then I skipped her because I knew I was going to go to the Eagle, which is a coal ship, or at the time I believe it was just a money ship. But it brought me back to saying, you know what? They're right. I haven't played that, so I can't say what she is truly capable of. I did a comparison with her in the Sirocco, but I'm glad that that was brought to my attention, and of course I was defensive right away, but it's the truth. If I hadn't played her, then how can I give a true comparison or a true evaluation of her? And so I went back, and I've played with her the last few days, and I have her kills per game over 1 kill a game, over the 1 kill a game. She'll probably be just like the rest of the French destroyers, about 1.5 kills a game, because she has their attributes that I really like. My guide to her, or my evaluation of her, and the difference between her and other nation DDs. You do not have the reload booster like the Sirocco, but you have a third more health than the Sirocco. The Sirocco has a 6.0 kilometer detection. You have a 6.3 when kitted out in the Jaguar. So after looking at them, I think that they are really close, as in you're giving away 0.3 for detection, but you're gaining a third more health. Now, what the French bring at tier 5 versus the other DDs is versatility. Now, try to understand what I'm saying here with this. The leaders at this tier are the Japanese, the Kamikaze R, or whatever they want to be called. It's a low detection torpedo platform. You have the Americans, which is going to be the Nicholas. Lower DPM compared to the French. He's a little bit faster. I believe she goes 37. The Jaguar goes, I believe, 35, 36. But the Jaguar has a lot more health, a lot more DPM. And let's say the Visby. The Visby has horrible DPM, has those fast torps. I like the Visby, but she has a heel. She does not have any kind of DPM. So the leader at this tier is the Kamikaze, the Japanese. What they bring to the table, like I said, is great concealment and a torpedo platform. What the French bring to the table is okay to not good concealment. We're talking about at tier 5. Higher DPM. And a speed with their speed booster, which is a 20% speed boost instead of a 8% speed boost, gives them versatility. If a Kamikaze sees a battleship, that's what it wants to see, because it can get close, throw out its torps, and kill it. A Kamikaze does not want to see a destroyer. A Kamikaze does not want to see a cruiser. If a Kamikaze or a Visby gets within range, or a Nicholas gets within range of a Jaguar or Sirocco, it's not really even a fair fight. I'm letting a Jaguar game play in the background, as you can see. As I started out, I hid behind an island, waited. I knew that there was a DD there. I was waiting to be able to get salvos off on him. But once again, the Japanese do not want to see a destroyer. The Visby does not want to see a destroyer. The French is a destroyer killer. With that DPM, with that speed, with that health pool, which they have a good health pool, great health pool, you're wanting to find the DDs. You're wanting to find a slow cruiser that's been sitting around an island. You want to see a battleship coming around an island. So what the French bring is speed, firepower, health. They lack some in the concealment, but when you learn to play with the islands, you take away that advantage that those other DDs have. Here I'm going to show a little bit of marksman. We see a low health ship over here. I think right here I'm getting ready to shoot at him. The things you don't get with the French, you don't get AA, you don't get the smoke, but the versatility right here. Slowly setting up my shot, gonna get this kill. But the versatility that you can attack almost any ship that you see is huge, especially in randoms. Here I lose a little bit of health, but I'm okay with that since we got rid of a ship. We're down on points, we're down on ships. I didn't realize this Scharnhorst was this close. I got tunnel vision on that low health ship. Gonna slow down here, try to set up a torp run on him. But the Jaguar, and I am gonna say the Sirocco also because it's tier 5, they just bring such versatility to the game. They don't care what they're gonna find and get the battle. You're gonna see me fight against, let's say, the Scharnhorst here. When I'm fighting big ships, I'm mainly trying to use my torpedoes against them when I'm in the French. I'm not trying to farm fire damage or anything like that. I'm trying to kill them. And the French have enough hitting power in their torpedoes to kill the big ships. They have awesome DD killing power because of the DPM and the health pool. Here we get rid of a tier 7 battleship. This is a tier 7 battle. And the reason I wanted to show this battle, it's not huge damage. It's showing the versatility. Here I'm trying to set up on this New York. I see him coming around. But I see torps coming out from in front of me. But until that guy's visible, I'm going to keep going after the New York. Here, one of the other things that the French do not have, they do not have good turret traverse. So here, I'm just taking my time. I want to keep my guns on the same side. Watch how fast this Visby goes away. He shouldn't have picked this fight. He has no DPM. He has a heal. If he can't escape, he's not going to get his heal in. Watch the size of these salvos. The first salvo was 2,000 something. That salvo was 2,000 something. They don't have the health pool. They don't have the DPM to fight you. So against any DDs of tier 5, it's not a match between, say, Sirocco or Jaguar, especially Jaguar. It's not a fair fight. You have better DPM, you have better health pool, and when you're using that speed booster, you have better speed. Sirocco, during your reload booster, you have better DPM anyway, but now you're going to multiply that with a reload booster. With Sirocco, you are slow, but with that speed booster, you do get to a pretty decent speed since you get that 20% increase instead of 10%. But the French, I think the reason, and I've brought this up in other videos, the reason that they suffer at the win rates is because of people being used to using smoke. You have to get used to not using smoke. You have to get used to not having as great a concealment. But you've seen that nobody really super snuck up on me, maybe this Visby, but what the French do really well is they delete destroyers. They sneak around islands. I tell him good job, but I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get to go up and kill that New York. They delete destroyers. They delete battleships, which the Japanese and the European at tier 5, the European can hurt the battleship, but he has to get multiple torpedo runs on him. The Japanese can delete a battleship, but they're slow. They have to get lucky with a torpedo drop. In the French, I get to positions around islands, or I rush them, that I'm getting lots of torpedoes into them. I don't need as many I get more torpedoes in them than what the Japanese do, because they have to shoot from a little farther away, their torpedoes, so their accuracy isn't going to be as good as mine. But in the French, what you'll need to learn is to isolate ships. Because let's say when I'm going against a DD, like right here, he's going to end up leaving after he sees that I'm going to shoot at him. But say like that Visby, say like if a kamikaze came up on me, if he's alone, he has no choice but to either die like that Visby or run, and then I get to occupy that area that he wanted to control. So if I isolate him, he dies. If I isolate him, he either runs or dies. If he has support, then you're in trouble. So at the beginning of the games, you have the speed to do speed caps. You want to isolate ships, especially DDs, so that it's a one-on-one fight. A one-on-one fight is not fair to that other DD. And like I said, Jingle said, fair fights are for suckers. And I agree. I've sat back the last few days and tried to figure out why I like the French so much. The speed, the firepower, and what it takes to win in them. What it takes is you being able to deal with no smoke. And that concealment really isn't that big a disadvantage when the person that's with you isolated is a DD. Because their only choice is to either run from you or smoke up. Because if they try to do a firefight with you one-on-one, they're going to die. Your DPM at tier 5 and your health, you're going to outclass them. And let's say whenever I see DDs in the queue with me that are, like, say on the other team, if they're tier 5, I know that it's not a fair battle between them and I when it's a heads-up fight. When it's tier 6, if it is not a French destroyer and if it's not an American destroyer, it's still not a fair fight. Any of those other DDs, I'm fine doing a gunfight with them. If they're not French or an American at tier 6, if they're German, if they're Japanese, or anything like that, it's still not a fair fight. I'll fight them heads up, and I'll still beat them. And that's at tier 5. Tier 7, it starts being a little bit different. But remember, I still don't have that bad a concealment. Sirocco, 6.0. Jaguar, 6.3. So say that Farragut that sees me who's at a tier 6, his concealment's 6.6. Say any of in the French, they're 6.6 or 6.8. So I'm still going to have a concealment advantage over them. So really, tier 5 French are kind of at a sweet spot. They still have decent concealment, and they still have the DPM and the health pool. Here I get another nice long shot, get me a kill. But my guide to the French, especially at tier 5, you have decent concealment. You have good to great health pool. You have great DPM versus the tier 5 DDs that are with you. You have versatility. That's your key. You can fight anything. The Japanese and the Euro, they're only good at fighting battleships. They can't fight DDs, and if they do, I wouldn't care if he was a Unicum or not. It doesn't matter. And truthfully, in my French, I'm mostly Unicum throughout the whole branch. So if a Unicum of a Japanese wanted to fight me heads up and he's in a DD, it's not going to be fair. I'm going to crush him. It doesn't matter. If he's an American, it doesn't matter. If they're at my same tier, it's not going to be a fair fight. So if you get used to the no smoke, if you can get used to the low anti-air, there are such attributes that you can take advantage of. You have versatility. You're going to be a randoms killer because you're not required just to fight battleships. You can fight anything, and you can get caps. So hopefully you enjoyed the guide. Hopefully you learned a little bit. This is Meta_Man 2002. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And if the video was helpful, you guys have a great day.